Thanks for joining us here on KHOU 11 Plus. I'm Cheryl Mercedes. For the last 2 hours, we have been working to learn more about an officer-involved shooting. Here's what we know so far. The officer was hurt and the suspect is dead. This happened around 8 o'clock tonight on Milam Street. That's just off Congress Avenue, downtown Houston. We have team coverage for you this evening. Orko Manna is at Memorial Hermann Hospital, but first, let's check in with Troy Kless, who is live at the scene. Troy, what have you learned since you've gotten there?
Well, Cheryl, we've learned some very little information. What we see behind us is, again, a large scene here in downtown Houston where, according to Houston police, they say that an officer was stabbed by a suspect and a second officer returned fire, striking and killing the suspect. So I'll just step out of the way and you can take a look. So, a lot of the officers are focused here. This is just outside of the CVS pharmacy here in downtown. And, again, this is a very, this entire block is blocked off right now as Houston police have been, out here investigating. We are waiting to get some more information from the Houston police chief or one of the deputy chiefs here that is going to be speaking at some point. We're not sure when, but again, this is what we can see out here right now. A lot of officers are focused on a sidewalk that appears to be just outside of a parking garage here in downtown Houston. Now we're working to learn the specifics about what exactly took place and what may have led to the call and those sorts of things right now. So again, the number one thing that we're seeing here too is that the Harris County crime scene unit is also on site as well. So they're going to be doing their work sorting through all this because a suspect is dead right now and an officer, we're working to learn more about their condition at this time. So this is just, again, this is the developing scene that we are looking at here in downtown Houston. And we do see one of the Chief Bashir, Assistant Chief Bashir, appears to be on site, just arrived. And so likely he'll get briefed on the situation and hopefully we'll get a better idea of a timetable when we'll get more information from Houston police. But again, just to recap really quick, here in 300 block of Milam in downtown Houston, an officer was stabbed and the suspect who apparently stabbed the officer was shot and killed by a second police officer. So that's what we know at this moment. I'll send it to my colleague Orko Manna, who's over at Memorial Hermann, where that officer was being transported.
Yeah, Troy, we see you there live at the hospital this evening. Any word on the officer's condition?
Well, at this point, we do not have an update on the officer's condition, and I do want to reiterate that at this point, we know that the HPD officer was taken to a hospital. We don't know for sure if that is confirmed. That is here at Memorial Hermann, but we are seeing a police presence out here. You can see over my right shoulder there is an HPD vehicle, and we have some video we want to show you just from a few minutes ago where you can see a handful of Houston police vehicles that were outside the emergency room entrance here at Memorial Hermann. Again, as Troy mentioned, the preliminary information we have right now from the Houston Police Department is that an officer was stabbed by the suspect involved in this officer-involved shooting, and that officer who was stabbed was taken to an area hospital. Again, at this hour, we're still trying to learn more about that officer's condition, what exactly that stabbing entailed, and how that officer is doing. Again, at this moment, we know that HPD says the officer who was stabbed by the suspect was taken to a hospital for recovery. And again, we are working to learn more about how that officer is doing right now. So stay with us as we learn more. But we know Troy is out at the scene trying to collect more details on what started this whole situation and what caused this officer-involved shooting to occur in the first place. And we'll be sure to update you again as we learn more. So out here right now, again, as I mentioned, we can see a HPD vehicle here, and we saw a couple more just a few minutes ago. So there is quite a bit of activity here when it comes to Houston Police, but as of right now, again, we don't have it confirmed necessarily that the officer was taken here, but we do know in situations like this, when an officer is injured in a officer-involved shooting or another incident, that they are often taken to Memorial Hermann here at the emergency room. So again, we're going to try to gather some more details, but for now, Cheryl, we're going to send it back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Orko. You can see the police presence starting to gather there around the emergency room entrance there at Memorial Hermann. Also, we do know, as you mentioned, which is clearly a great observation, that is typically where they do send officers when they are involved in this area in officer-involved shootings, or they're injured or hurt in any scenario. So it is clear that there is some force building there tonight, and we're interested to find out more as Orko learns anything about the officer's condition, his name, or what exactly transpired this evening. For those of you joining us right now, here is the latest information we know so far. An officer is hurt and a suspect dead. There was an active scene downtown near the CVS on Milam. We're told that the officer was stabbed by a suspect, and the second officer there at the scene returned fire. Again, that is outside of the CVS pharmacy downtown. Troy Kless mentioned to us that it appears officers are focused on a sidewalk near a parking garage in that area. And over at Memorial Hermann Hospital, of course, Orko just showed us there is a police presence of HPD units near that ER entrance. At this point, we are waiting to hear more information for what we're hoping will be a news conference soon to give us more details on how this started, why the officers were in that area, and who the suspect was. Troy Kless is back live at the scene. And Troy, I wanted to ask you, I see the officers there and of course the crime scene tape. What about the community? Are there people walking around downtown? Are there folks gathering there? Were you able to touch base with any of them? I know you just got at the scene.
Yeah, Cheryl, there are, a few people that are, standing around and watching police investigate this scene behind us here. So again, a lot of people, coming up and asking, seeing what's going on. And some people even, mentioned that they had their car in that parking garage that is near this CVS over here, and we're trying to, kind of move on there. So again, right now though, this is, this block is still just sectioned off at the moment, and a lot of officers are staged right here, but they're also further down the street investigating. If you want to take a look at some video that we shot earlier of the scene as we just arrived here. Now a lot of people were just standing by and just wondering what's going on and wanting to wait to get the latest information. So again, right now, this is what we are seeing out here is several police officers. I can see that, right now it appears that some of the, one of the assistant chiefs that typically provides press briefings at times like this is on site, but we're still waiting to get some more details beyond what we know right now, which is that a suspect stabbed an officer and a second officer returned fire, striking and killing the suspect. So again, that's what we're waiting to learn right now. And so we do see some other members of the community here, including the president of the Houston Police Officers Union, who, coming in to check on his troops again. We should mention that this is the second time in 24 hours that a Houston police officer has been shot. So we are just waiting to, again, get some more details about what exactly took place here. So, and again, Cheryl, as you mentioned before, that officers are focused on an area, on that sidewalk, which I'm not sure if you can see live right now, is blocked off by police cruisers, and that, is, where the focus of the investigation has been taking place so far. So again, hopefully we'll learn soon when we'll be able to get an update from the Houston Police Department, and again, get some more specific details about what exactly happened. So we'll just wait to learn more. And again, right now, everything is still blocked off here in downtown, and it is a very active scene right now.
Thank you, Troy. Can you give us any indication of, are there any road closures downtown that people need to know about? I see the crime scene tape behind you, obviously, by the CVS and Milam off Congress. But are there any roads that you can tell from where you're standing that people should avoid this evening if they're trying to get around?
Well, I would say Milam and Congress, there's going to be the 300 block of Milam and Congress, over a block away is going to be where people are going to want to avoid it. And so that's what we know right now. There are going to be officers, there are officers in the area that are directing traffic to divert people away from the scene. So you'll likely, if you are going to be out, in downtown or see those officers, that's what they're doing right now, as this section right here is obviously where the focus of the investigation is, but officers do have a few blocks surrounding the area that are blocked off right now, Cheryl.
All right, that's good to know, Troy. And please avoid that area if you can this evening. Clearly, it is an active investigation, and we need to let the police detectives do their work. Let's check in again now with Orko Manna, who is live near the emergency room entrance at Memorial Hermann tonight. Orko, has anything changed in the last few minutes you can tell us about?
Well, Cheryl, not much has changed here. We are still seeing that one Houston police vehicle just over my right shoulder by the emergency room entrance here at Memorial Hermann. And we have some video we want to show you just from a few minutes ago when we first arrived here on scene, where you can see at least a couple or two or three Houston police vehicles here outside the emergency room, again, at Memorial Hermann. And as I mentioned earlier, just a few minutes ago, this is the area at Memorial Hermann, the emergency room, where Houston police are often taken if they're involved in an officer-involved shooting or another incident like this in this area. Again, those officers are often taken here. Right now, what we know from the Houston Police Department is that an officer was stabbed by the suspect involved in that officer-involved shooting from a little bit earlier this evening, and that officer who was stabbed was taken to the hospital and is still recovering right now. At this point, it's still unclear what that officer's condition is, how that officer is doing. But again, as Troy mentioned just a few minutes ago, that this is the second HPD officer that was injured in an officer-involved shooting situation in the past 24 hours. So the Houston Police Department is definitely praying for that officer in this case, and also the officer in that earlier road rage shooting incident. So again, back out here live again, we can see an HPD officer vehicle right there outside the emergency room entrance. We're not seeing a whole lot of activity outside of that, but again, as I mentioned, we did see a couple of vehicles a little bit earlier out here, but we are waiting to get an update from HPD on what exactly the officer's condition is at this moment. And as soon as we get that, we'll be sure to relay that to you. Cheryl, back to you.
All right, thank you, Orko. For those of you joining us right now, here is the latest information that we know so far. An officer is hurt and a suspect is dead. There is a very active scene downtown right now near the CVS on Milam. We're told an officer was stabbed by a suspect and a second officer there at the scene returned fire. This was outside of the CVS pharmacy downtown, but Troy Kless tells us that the focus right now of the investigation appears to be on a sidewalk near a parking garage across the street. Over at Memorial Hermann Hospital, Orko Manna mentioned to us there is starting to begin to get a presence of police cars near that emergency room entrance. He is there, of course, because that is the hospital where in the past officers have gone when they've been hurt on the job. So we are there waiting to see if we can get any information on the condition of this officer, who he might be, and anything else that we may learn from outside of the hospital, whether family, friends, or any other officers arrive there on the scene to check on him. Also, Troy Kless mentioned back at downtown, the assistant chief who typically provides press briefings is downtown on the scene, so we're hoping to learn more from him as soon as he gets that information. Also, Troy mentioned the president of the Houston Police Officers Union is down there as well. We will be staying on top of the story throughout the night on air and right here online. Make sure that you download the KHOU 11 app on your phone and turn on those notifications so you can be the first to know as soon as we get any updates. Thanks for joining us back here on KHOU 11 Plus. I'm Cheryl Mercedes. As we've been reporting, we have told you for just over the last 2 hours, we have been working to learn more about an officer-involved shooting. Here's what we know so far. We know that an officer is hurt and a suspect is dead. This happened around 8 o'clock tonight on Milam Street, that's just off of Congress Avenue, downtown near the CVS. We have live team coverage for you. Orko Manna is at Memorial Hermann Hospital, but first we're going to start with Troy Kless, who is at the scene with the newest information. Troy, what have you learned?
Yeah, Cheryl, just moments ago, I spoke with the president of the Houston Police Officers Union, Doug Griffith, and he told me that the officer is in good condition right now. And he told me that he was actually on his way to the hospital to check in on them right now. So, but obviously, a little extra info there that, again, the officer is in good condition after he was apparently stabbed by a suspect here in downtown Houston, again, in the 300 block of Milam Street. So, again, what we're seeing right now is, I also did speak with a public information officer for the Houston Police Department to ask when could we get an update about what exactly happened. He said that he doesn't know right now. So again, the most important thing, again, that the officer is reportedly in good condition, but is still at a hospital after apparently he was stabbed by a suspect here in downtown Houston. I'll step out of the way. You can take a look and kind of see again just what's going on behind me. So again, officers are focusing their investigation on a sidewalk right along this block here, which you can see, some video of us here earlier at the scene, which shows officers just arriving and investigating what exactly took place. So again, the Harris County Forensic Crime Team is on site as well, and we are still again, waiting to get some more information right now, but they are, obviously focused on investigating, piecing everything together about what exactly took place. So again, what we know right now, again, the latest information, according to the Houston Police Officers Union president, is that the officer is in good condition right now, but police are still obviously investigating because the suspect has been killed and was shot by a second officer that was on site here. So again, back out here live, we're still waiting to get some more information about we're still waiting to get some more information about the specifics, what exactly took place, and just hopefully we'll provide that update for you, and we'll carry it for you both on air and online at khou.com. So that's the latest that we know right now. Again, according to the Houston Police Officers Union president, the officer who was stabbed is in good condition right now. So that's what we're learning, and we'll bring you more information once we receive it. Cheryl.
Troy, was the Houston Police Department Union president able to confirm that the officer was taken to Memorial Hermann this evening?
He did not mention what specific hospital that he was taken to, but as you mentioned earlier this evening, is that typically Memorial Hermann is the site where it's a trauma center, so that is, where, and in the past, when we've reported on Houston police officers getting injured in the line of duty, that's typically where they get taken. So again, we're waiting to learn those specifics, but again, the Houston Police Officers Union said that he was on his way to a hospital right now, but didn't specify which one.
Yeah, Troy, while you were speaking to us doing that live report, I also noticed that they removed some of the crime scene tape from behind you. Interested to see if they're repositioning that. Thank you so much for the update on the officer. Again, Troy Kless confirming that he's in good condition in the hospital. Tonight, we also have Orko Manna live outside of Memorial Hermann, where officers are typically taken when they are injured on the job. Orko, have you seen any changes out there this evening? Are there more people showing up? Has anyone spoken to you about the officer or what may have happened there?
Well, Cheryl, we are seeing a little bit more activity here. In addition to the one HPD marked vehicle over my right shoulder that you can see behind me, we actually just saw this vehicle here. You're taking a look at a unmarked a black vehicle that pulled up to the emergency room entrance at Memorial Hermann just a few minutes ago. We saw a couple officers wearing their uniforms exit that vehicle just a couple minutes ago and then walk into the emergency room. Again, at this point, we don't have it necessarily confirmed by police that this is where the officer who was stabbed was taken. But as Troy alluded to, and as I said a little bit earlier this evening, this is the hospital, Memorial Hermann, where officers that are injured on the job are often taken. And again, we are seeing an HPD vehicle, some unmarked law enforcement vehicles as well, and some officers, as I just mentioned, that walked into the emergency room just a short time ago. So again, as of right now, what we have confirmed from the Houston Police Department is that the officer who was involved, one of the officers involved in this incident, was apparently stabbed by the suspect, and that officer who was stabbed was taken to the hospital. The great news right now from Houston Police, the Houston Police Officers Union president, is that that officer who was stabbed is in good condition tonight. Again, in these situations, they can be pretty volatile, so you never know, what the situation could lead to. But again, according to the Houston Police Officers Union president, that officer who was stabbed is in good condition. That union president is on his way to the hospital right now, as Troy mentioned, to try to get some more information in to see and check up on that officer. And again, right now, what we are seeing outside of the hospital, the emergency room here at Memorial Hermann, is an HPD marked vehicle, security at the hospital, and a couple unmarked law enforcement vehicles, again, as they try to come here and try to show support to the officer who presumably is here at Memorial Hermann recovering from those stabbing injuries. Again, to reiterate for you, the Houston Police Officer Union president telling our Troy Kless that the officer who was stabbed in this incident is in good condition. We, of course, are trying to learn some more details as to what exactly led up to that stabbing, how that factored into the officer-involved shooting, what led up to all of this back at the scene where Troy is. So, of course, as soon as we learn that information and more information about the officer and how he is doing at this hour, we'll be sure to relay that to you as soon as we can. Cheryl, back to you.
Glad to hear confirmation that that officer is doing good tonight. Looking forward to hearing more from folks who show up, and of course any details that we get from the scene where Troy is this evening. For those of you joining us right now, here's the latest information that we know so far. We did tell you that an officer is hurt. A suspect is dead. There is a very active scene downtown right now on Milam near Congress where that officer was stabbed by a suspect. We also told that the second officer there at the scene returned fire on that suspect. The suspect is deceased. This, of course, was outside of the CVS pharmacy downtown, but Troy showed us that officers appear to be investigating near a sidewalk, near a parking garage not far from that CVS. Back at Memorial Hermann, Orko Manna telling us that he is seeing a presence of police cars near that emergency room entrance. Both reporters telling us that the president of the Houston Police Department Union is heading down to the hospital to check on his colleague, as well as get any information he can on what happened this evening. We are also waiting on more information from the scene downtown from the assistant chief, who typically provides press briefings when things like this happen. Also, we told you that other officers are gathering there as well as the hospital, both investigating and, of course, thinking about their colleague who was injured tonight. As soon as we learn more information about what happened tonight and get more on the officer who was injured, who we are told, thankfully, is in good condition this evening, we will pass it along to you. We will be staying on top of the story throughout the night, on air and online. Be sure to download the KHOU 11 app on your phone. Turn on the notifications so you'll be the first to know as soon as we get any updates.